What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Show back in another video. Now it's been a whole week. I wasn't gonna do 2 Naruto videos in a week, but if you haven't seen the other one, I talk about the pain arc and then I talk about how controversial it is. So definitely go check it out if you haven't checked it out already. Now today we're gonna be talking about one of the most controversial characters in Naruto himself. I rewatched Naruto recently, so this was all these Naruto videos are popping up for. And I gotta say, I love Naruto like to death. I've watched it so many times. I watched it like every year since it finished, non-filler of course. And you start to realize, you start to see a lot of stuff that's just like kind of blatant, kind of pointed out to you. And today I want to talk about the third Hokage, because obviously there's probably videos out there discussing the same topic, but I want to take my shot at it because I honestly feel like the third Hokage was not necessarily a bad written character, but due to the plot he became such a worse character after like Act 1 of Naruto. So with that being said, man, let's go ahead and jump into it. We're gonna dive into the deep world of Naruto, discuss a controversial topic, third Hokage, and his role as a teacher and a father figure. We'll really get into all of that. All right. So with that being said, let's gonna jump into it. So I gotta say, first thing is, third Hokage is obviously a cool character. To me personally, he's probably like the less cool out of all the Hokages though, because once you kind of see how everybody else stacks up to him, in the beginning you see Orochimaru summon the 2 Hokage back, and it's such a big thing, but not really, because if you look at it in hindsight, it's such a really big deal because we don't really know anything about the Hokage or the previous Hokage or whatever, and Orochimaru doing this is kind of insane. But I feel like not necessarily it was used too early because it did show the gravity of the situation, but it gave us a little teaser to how powerful the first and second Hokage were. I also believe that back then, I believe somebody who stated that Kishimoto has said that the third Hokage was supposed to be like the strongest out of all the Kage, because him in particular was like the god of Shinobi. He knew like 1,000 jutsu and stuff, and they ended up getting retconned a lot later, as they really hyped up the Ashura and Indra aspect of the first Hokage. But it's supposed to be told that back then he was basically like a legendary Hokage, and like I said, his role kind of got diminished later on when they just realized how crazy those battles between Madara and first Hokage were. And he's often portrayed as a wise and caring leader, He has a couple of darker aspects to his character, but mostly he's seen as the village grandpa. He loves his village. He's a little bit pervy, like all older men in anime for some reason. And to get in that, to first understand him in general, we must acknowledge his role as Hokage. He's been a pretty effective leader in a couple of ways, but there's also some instances where the leadership left a lot to be desired. Obviously the Hokage is the leader of the Anbu Black Ops, so in turn we know that he had to do some very devious things. This is normal, but even though he's a really good character and he's the kind of man, he protected the village and gave his life, this character has a lot of flaws in him. Like a lot. He's to me a character that he intended to do right, but he was complacent in too many different things, and it resulted in him losing a lot. I feel like a lot of the show is basically due to his leadership, and it effectively is. Now first we'll talk about Team Hiruzen. So he taught the legendary Sannin known as Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and Tsunade. And this is pretty much like one of the first instances we see of a teammate going bad in Orochimaru. This is a trope that basically followed the whole anime. He failed to kind of guide Orochimaru away from the darkness, and I understand that I might be blaming him for something that Orochimaru was always going to do. But I feel like in a sense it's different rather than Kakashi not steering away Sasuke from darkness, because with Orochimaru, he lost his parents and he started to question the meaning of life. But during the wartime, a lot of Hokage or like Jonin leaders and stuff really couldn't provide a lot of emotional support. Like, let's be honest, it was during the war. So Orochimaru got that way because of all the things he's seen in the war. Like, yes, people die, but why do people die? How do people die? And people can't. He wanted to unlock life's mysteries, and because of that, it turned dark, and obviously that eventually led to the village being destroyed and him being murdered. But what I really want to talk about, the 2 tragedies I feel like he had a really big part in, was Naruto. You wouldn't necessarily call Naruto a tragedy because obviously he grew up to be a savior of the village, and just because the ending that Naruto had was a righteous one doesn't mean the choices of the third Hokage did was also good. You know what I'm saying? The end doesn't justify the means. You know, that's kind of another philosophy in itself. But so let's talk about Naruto, man. So Naruto basically was an orphan who was always alone. As you can see, a lot of his backstory is like he was alone. He didn't really have friends and stuff, and he basically, you know, had his own apartment and stuff. And obviously, you can see behind the scenes. There were some scenes they show, I think, in the fillers and stuff, where you can see like the Hokage talking to him and stuff. And I think, for me personally, this is probably one of the worst aspects of the third Hokage you ever can see, because for one, Kushina and Minato died through the Naruto Fox. I believe Kishimoto wanted Naruto to be the fourth Hokage's son. I think that was always set in stone. I don't know. I don't think that he had the storyboard for actually how the death and stuff occurred, and you know, he had a suitable answer for why the third Hokage didn't really teach Naruto about his heritage. You know, because there were no specific instructions. So let's be honest, Minato didn't tell third Hokage to not let everybody know that was his son, or to not really like treat Naruto with a great deal of respect. I mean, obviously Naruto developing that underdog spirit is what made him, like, you know what I'm saying, survive and thrive in the later half of Naruto. But in reality, he really left a little kid alone. Like, honestly, for one, who took care of him as a baby? Like, who took care of Naruto as a baby? Who raised him up to be the kid that we know? And then, like, at one point in his life, did he just get an apartment where he just lived on his own, you know? I heard it was rumored that since Sasuke's mother was a friend of Kushina, she had initially wanted to adopt Naruto, but considering there was a lot of power struggle and things going on with the Uchiha clan, Danzo really didn't allow it. Now, don't be wrong, Danzo has a bigger part to play as like the Shadow Hokage than even the third Hokage himself. The only reason why I feel like the third Hokage failed is because he couldn't put his friend in check, and he let his friend run wild. Obviously, Danzo's intention was to protect the leaf, but not all of the leaf, apparently. And this isn't a Danzo video, it's a third Hokage video. He failed to stop Orochimaru from becoming evil. He even had the chance to kill Orochimaru once he found out all the horrific experiments Orochimaru's been doing. So yes, he is directly responsible for every experiment that Orochimaru has done afterwards, because he could have ended Orochimaru's life right there, saved so many countless clans and people that Orochimaru's picked up along the way since becoming evil. And many children that he's abducted and like worked on and stuff. He had the chance to stop all of that, but he let his student get away. That was a very big mistake. He left Naruto to basically be an orphan that was all alone and, you know, really depressing situation, when in reality Naruto should have been honored as the fourth Hokage's son and the sacrifice that he had to bear. Another issue that I've had with Hiruzen or Saratobi, whatever you want to call him, is that when you look at the actual birth of Naruto, like the actual process of it, he was basically either he was at home or something. He's basically chilling at home. And I'm not saying specifically that that's not what he's supposed to do, because in reality, he wasn't even a Hokage anymore. So even thinking about his point is a very weak, flimsy point. But he could have definitely provided extra backup. They could have had more extra backup, because it's no way that Toby, who is strong now, obviously he had the body of the Zetsu and stuff, he had the OP eye power and stuff that apparently is not necessarily able to match up with Minato, because Minato did figure out his power and figured out how to counteract it within like minutes. But the ability to actually release the fox, I feel like this should have been all hands on deck type situation. Like, I get it, it wanted to be secret, it was supposed to be a secret birth, but I feel like he definitely should have added a lot more security on the actual birth itself. While I won't specifically blame Kushina and Minato dying through him, I will say that it's an error in judgment for sure. Probably one of the most significant failures in the entire third Hokage's run was the Uchiha clan tragedy. He honestly failed to prevent the massacre and did little to address the underlying issues with the clan. Him being inactive, him being very passive, had serious consequences for the village, leading to the rise of Sasuke, which is like the least, besides Madara, which is like the least most formidable enemy, besides like Pain. This right here is, to me, probably his single greatest failure as a Hokage and as like the guardian of the village, because as I could talk about the man as a father, I won't really specifically, because when I rewatched Naruto, I didn't rewatch a lot of the fillers. So his relationship between him and Asuma and stuff, I didn't really get the context of that again, so I won't speak about it here. But as the show goes, Sasuke is probably the most powerful, dangerous enemy to ever really escape the leaf, besides like somebody like Itachi. And he was really the reason, because him being inactive, him being passive, and letting the other people make the decisions and stuff was ridiculous. They often said that Itachi thought as a Hokage at his young age. You know, he thought like that. But I feel like the third was just so stupid in different ways. Because Danzo was obviously the bad guy from the start. He was the guy that really riled up the Uchiha's emotions. Not only did the Fox come in and bust through and was being controlled by Sharingan, so they thought that the Sharingan clan might have something to do with it. He allowed Danzo to basically throw them on the outskirts of the village, further separating them from the actual main village itself. You basically threw these guys outside the village, threw them on their own little area, and basically told them that they had to be okay with it. And even though I can see that the second Hokage was a big reason for Uchiha's separation, to me it really falls on Lord Third, because obviously Tobirama and the first Hokage, they lived through war. So they've seen a lot of their clansmen, a lot of their peoples die by Uchiha blood. So obviously Tobirama would have a grudge against Uchiha's. I'm not saying that that was totally correct. What I'm saying is that it's more understandable. The third Hokage literally just let the Uchiha get thrown to the outskirts, relocated them and took them out of the center of the village and just moved them by the prison. Made them feel like they were criminals guarding criminals. And then when they were not excited about it, not happy about it, they couldn't really speak up because none of the other clans were having the issues with their changes. So they couldn't speak up or be known as like a death clan forever, you know? So all in all, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just not a big fan of the third Hokage. They kind of retconned him being like the strongest Hokage. They retconned that, changed that a lot. He didn't really have Naruto. He might have been there in some very small moments to be there for Naruto, but Naruto really grew up in a very sad and miserable existence as a child, and he really did nothing to really change that. As far as Orochimaru goes, he could have turned his student from being evil. His student was going to be evil regardless. It was war that changed him. What his responsibility with Orochimaru is the fact that he didn't stop him when he found out he was doing all them experiments. After being warned to stop him, to kill him, he had the chance to, and it eventually cost him his life. And as far as the Uchiha incident, he really left it to a teenager to basically either kill his clan and protect the village and his brother, or to basically fight alongside them and let it all burn. He is the one that forced Itachi into a very troubling position, him and Danzo. But with that being said, guys, let me know how you feel about third Hokage, how you feel about Sarutobi, and I'll see you guys next video.